Hi, I'm Kevin Slow Jammin' James, 187.4 on your FM dial. And this is the Alex Harris Podcast. It has been defined and redefined, so guaranteed it's 100% certified grade A. Now, let's officially greet you to raw and real radio with Alex Harris. It's Redefined Radio.
Hey, welcome. Hey, it's the Redefined Radio Podcast. I am your host, the one and only, the Alexander M. Harris. And we are here today on the show, the fresh, original episode as we start this cascade into a new world of redefining individuals' minds. Coming from the ashes of life, from those who suffered from anything, trauma, yourself, abuse, alcoholism, maybe just your inability to figure out where you're going to go in life. As my man would say, you're stuck in the mud. In mention of that, let me tell you who his name is. The one and only, the author, Quatrell Walker, military veteran. He's done some books with Les Brown, John Maxwell, and you know he's just an up-and-coming legend in himself. And he is the guest for this next hour. Introducing the one and only Quatrell Walker. What's going on, my brother?
Man, God is good, man.
All the time.
I appreciate you for having me on and sharing the story, you know, that everybody is cut from a different cloth. So introduction's beautiful, man. So just to tap it in and chime it in. We've been chopping it up for 2 years, man. And we linked up and stayed together, and nothing's swayed differently. So the genuine aspect that you always bring to the table, it's a blessing, and it's good that you have been placed in my life. So I just want to say thank you first and foremost for that, man. So
wow, you're making me seem like I'm kind of important or something. Like, I'm not. Listen, man, I'm just here trying to do what I can do, and that's impact lives. And it's crazy that people don't understand how when individuals' lives get together, how it's natural, and one thing about this radio show and who I am, I don't script, me, we talk all the time, fresh off the top. So, and for those who don't understand, I got a little mental illness, so I'm just keeping it real with you. So sometimes, my thought processes kind of get ahead of me at times, but it's kind of emotional, you know what I'm saying, to be here, to see where we started off. I met you through my nephew. Didn't know who you were. I did an impromptu speak. They needed a speaker. I jumped up there. And then all of a sudden, from that day to this day, we talk like damn near every day. You know what I mean? And it was just crazy. Like the first day we met, we hopped in the car together, had lunch, and we saw something crazy. I mean, it was like the craziest story. We were driving down the street, and we were in Florida, in Tampa, Florida. And homeboy had the ride-on lawnmower, and he was pulling like a 1983 Monte Carlo MC on rims and everything, and with a ride-on lawnmower. I was like, wow, this is like straight ghetto and country and like hood all at the same time. I said, I've never in my life seen that, and it was being towed with a little rope, and we were dying in the middle of the street trying to film this guy in the middle of the street while I was driving. To this day, I still have to film. And we have just been connected. And since that connection, man, you've just been different. And, talk about where you're from. What is different? Cut from a different cloth. You have your book, cut from a different cloth. Your brand is a different cloth. Your shirt that you have on, cut from a different cloth. What are you talking about? What is the cloth and what's different?
I mean, everybody is unique, and I think that society nowadays, nobody wants to embrace those idiosyncrasies. You see what I'm saying? So it's okay to embrace your uniqueness. And I'm definitely unique. So coming up as a kid, I was labeled early in life as the one with the alphabets, the ADD, or now it's the ADHD. So we just gonna keep adding to it, okay? But I didn't let that steer me away, okay? So I was the one with the IEP, another one, So, I mean, they had me in the box, okay? So I was already that kid. So In the 5th grade, they was like, man, where did he go? I'm in 3 different school districts because I didn't really want to conform to, the classroom environment per se. So I was already the outcast, but I didn't let that, steer me wrong. And at the time, it was like, what you want to do? You want to be the knucklehead kid? Because this is in the suburbs. I was the only minority pretty much. It was like being a fly in milk. You know what I'm saying? So you was easily identifiable, especially in that environment.
My man said he was the fly in milk. I'm going to tell y'all one thing. This dude has got some acronyms for you. I'm going to tell you right now. So when you talk about the suburbs of...
This is Rochester. So in
Rochester, everybody know what city that is.
Yeah, hey, listen, Rochester, man, check it out. If you know you on the TV show First 48, I mean, that's enough being said. So, but it's a suburb outside the skirts of that. But I was in 3 different school districts, and it was kind of like, we just gonna push him through, get him through just to get him out of school. So, but I didn't let that bother me or deter what I was doing.
So you was like a problem pushing you out, or you had like intellectual issues, and you was just that guy?
Yeah, it was just like it was to the point like, okay, if you teaching math, I was already, I knew numbers. Okay, so I was like, I'm just gonna do what I'm doing in the back of the class, spitballs of just playing around, but disturbing. Okay, so they was just like, all right, we gotta put a handle. How could we gather them in? So I was in a classroom of literally like 6 to 8 kids, and coming up at that time, you going to school riding a little bus, and in the 90s, when you on a little bus, that's not a cool thing.
A little bus.
Yeah. So
little bus.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I had to go through. But I wasn't no punk. I wasn't like the kid that was gonna go out and try to pick fights and whatnot. I was always encouraging, lifting people up, and I always wanted to try to see to bring the best out in people. So my path was different from most because I just didn't conform to that. But anyhow, school was good. Got through, pushed me through, got me out of the school system. And unfortunately, it was more along the lines of, here, let me just go ahead and mail you your diploma. So I was a stinger, a burner. I finished high school, but yet you sent me my diploma through the mail. Like, you didn't even allow me to walk, the stage with my classmates.
So you just problematic all around.
Yeah,
they didn't want you part
didn't
of
even want me to go to the graduation.
You was that dude.
Yes. So I was like, okay, I'm not, gonna let that get to me. And at the time in high school, it's about 17 years old. I just, trying to, make that name. So it wasn't a good name. So within my book, Being Cut from a Different Cloth, I talk about 3 different things, which is practice, patience, and perseverance. And I was practicing a lot on being that knucklehead. So the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over, getting that same outcome. Okay, so I was putting a lot of practice in being a knucklehead. You see what I'm saying? And then it kind of dawned on me like, dang, this ain't really, what it is. What you gonna do with yourself? So I found myself in a situation where I was standing in front of the courtship, and the man and the judge says, hey, we're gonna send you down. So I'm like, okay. So here I go to the county jail. This is, OCC, Ontario County Jail, had me in there for about 6 months or so, about that time. This is during high school now. So I'm like, damn, my parents, telling people I'm on vacation and I'm doing this or I'm doing that to save themselves from embarrassment. So I got to burden that too. So now it's like, man, you making your family look bad. You got your mom trying to lie on you, stuff, So in that process, I'm like, man, I can't, this ain't me. This ain't the life I want to live. And the first time the real impact hit was when that joker closed them cell doors. And that's when that lump, when you hard to swallow in your throat, you like, man, this is it right now. Like, your freedoms and your liberties and everything is gone. So I'm like, okay, that's the epiphany moment. So that's when it was like, it's time for change. So ever since after that moment, man, I've been, steadfast. So I said, I had to put the system in place so I don't go back to this environment. And in order to do that, I had to dig deep within myself and say, man, what am I good at? I'm good at daggone, hustling, and getting quick, fast money, but that's not getting me to where I want to be at, because you see where I ended up. So it wasn't the life I wanted to live. So I remember going back to to the times when I was a kid playing with G.I. Joes. Okay, I'd be with my G.I. Joes, throw them jokers up with the parachute, having the parachute down. You know, so I used to love them, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the military. You know what I'm saying? Get out of this environment, literally, and take myself out of the equation completely and reset my life, a clean slate. So walk over to the Marine Corps. I said, yeah, I like the Marines. They got the freshest uniform. They look cool. I like that. What they say, devil dog. That sound cool. You know, I said, I'm going to be one of them. So I stroll up in there. Hey, y'all, what's going on? Can I get in here? I said, I'm ready. And, you know, they take anybody. Them jokers looked at me. They was like, nah, we can't mess with you, man. I said, you got the excess baggage. So I'm like, oh, man, for real? Like, damn. I'm like, you being serious right now? And I was like, okay. I ain't let that steer me. So office right next door to him. I went right out to one office, walked right into the other one. Oh, they always together. Okay,
like, hey,
Army, Navy, Marine, all of them right there. Right. So I walked right into the Army. I say, hey, man, here's the deal, man. So I just talked to these guys over here at the Marine Corps. They told me, you know, they couldn't really, you know, get with me because I had X, Y, and Z. And dude, look, he said, okay, that's all right. He says, we could do something for you. He says, you got everything settled up in courts and everything like that? I said, I'm still working on trying to, you know, get some stuff done. And it was felony probation, man. So that's 5-year probation. So they was like, well, we'll go ahead and talk with a judge. And it brought me into the judge down in Monroe County. And the recruiter came with me. He's like, I'm about to. I was like, cool. So as soon as we got down there and they talked with the DA and everything, they were like, okay, what you gonna do? He was like, hey, he's trying to change. He's trying to rehabilitate himself right now, get himself out of that environment. This is, if you let us bring him on, there's no more problem within the community. We got him. So sure enough, judge looked at me, he says, Mr. Walker, you know, this is what you want to do? I said, absolutely. He says, you understand, you know, this is your path and they got you from here on out. He says, I should never see you again. I said, Your Honor, I said, you're not going to see me again, period. So
that was word. Better not see your eyes back up in here.
Right. So after that moment, man, I left up out of there and the recruiter straight up told me, he says, listen, man, he says, don't make me look like a fool. I said, I got you. I said, you helping me, so I'm going to help you, okay? Got you. So sure enough, I get up out of there, get in, solemnly swear, uphold the oath of the country. I'm in. Boom, get to the MEPS, and we get down to Georgia. Basic training at Fort Benning. And, you know, I was like, man, you don't have nothing when you go there, okay? And you already know. Excuse me. So we get to basic training, 30th AG at the reception hall. We not even actually downrange to our unit yet. I was like, man, they took all our everything away. So you basically,
you know, they strip you down. You know how it is.
Yeah. You institutionalize right from the start. So I'm like, hey man, I said we can't even have no candies. We can't have nothing. So one of the kids that was there was like, yeah, I'm from here. He said, we can go up to the local Walmart. I was like, word. So I was like, all right, bet. Here go the hustle.
I said, he's sneaking out of boot camp. You still got it in you. Man, the judge gave you a break. You still trying to figure out. And you're like, man, I got to hustle while you up in here. Boot camp is a thing. So you're going through boot camp. What happened? We get through there?
I didn't almost get there, man. I was almost kicked out before I even got down to my line unit because they called me the candy caper. Me and dude went down the candy caper. We went down with our laundry bags, picked up candy from Walmart, brought it back, and was hustling candy bars. I mean, that was gold. So we was.
Did you learn that on the yard? So that's a lot. Sound like you learned that on the yard.
Listen, man, it was bad business, but they overlooked it. You know, got me down there, and at the end of the day, that's when I was like, all right, man, I'm making my dude look like a fool. I said, what kind of man am I gonna be if I'm telling him my word, and right now I'm not holding my onus to that. So I was like, all right, it's time to really start doing something, and I was the best out of my platoon leader, all that good stuff. So high PT scores and everything. Time to get out and actually go to your career field. I was picked up by the old guard. So that's a ceremonial escort to the president of the United States, 3rd U.S. Infantry. So I was a part of Quatrell platoon.
So you're going from the hood to the court, stealing candy in boot camp, and get you in a presidential situation.
Facts. So
So is that where you say you kind of your transformation, like when you're going through all this and you get there, what kicked in where you like, this is my career, I got to get it together?
180-degree shift. Once I was had the privilege and the honor bestowed upon me and hand selected to do that, somebody was trying to tell me, I see something in you. You got something great in you. There's greatness in you, just like my mentor Les. So I was like, okay, I gotta take this by the reins, and literally by the reins, working with horses. But it was a blessing, man, to be able to support and be a part of that unit. And at the time, that was when 9/11 had jumped off. So we're actually getting ready for missions in the cemetery, and the next thing you know, boom, the Pentagon gets hit. So we shut everything down, and we like, what's going on? You know, we didn't know what was going on. Of course, we just saw it on TV what happened, and now we like, oh no, this is right in our backyard. So we was one of the first ones to go out there to help in rescue recovery efforts, pretty much. So that's like the
going where 9/11. So you got deployed. So you got
to the Pentagon.
You got deployed to the Pentagon.
Say it again. Deployed.
You got deployed to the Pentagon. Because that's what we do when they telling you to go somewhere.
Yes.
See, that's what people have to understand. See, in the military, you're not employed. You're always deployed, and that goes back to how life is. See, we got a lot of people walking around here who are employed. They have a employee mindset and not a CEO mindset. And it's funny how the military uses a lot of acronyms and different adjectives for being employed. Your employment is with the Department of Defense, but your employment is being deployed, which means to use your skills when you are out, right?
That's right.
And that's where we have a lot of conflict, where people don't understand deploying themselves.
Right.
While they're constantly working for others, and they lost in the mud. So, I know, we don't have all day, but, let's get into it. So real quick, you in this presidential detail, 9/11 crack off. I remember 9/11. I was at Fort Leonard Wood when that happened. And we were getting ready to deploy shortly after that because I just got out of the A school at that point. Mm-hmm. So you're getting ready to crack off. You're getting at 9/11. And then where did your journey go from there that's gotten you to the point where you're here now in life to say, in retrospect, and I don't want to say a full 360, but I'm just talking about a 180 at this point where you're just looking directly behind you like, shit, life's got to change.
Yeah.
You down there seeing the wreckage. I went down in 9/11, not part of no rescue. I just went down there as a first responder later on just to, peep out the scene. But I know you were hands-on, which also was a pre-step to what you were getting ready to go into next.
Right. So it's funny you say that. After all that happened, get to the next duty station because you can't stay there forever. Went to Germany, 3 years, and 2 years actually, but majority of that was in Iraq. So 2004, that was the epiphany. That's when I was hit. IED, boom. And I shouldn't be having this conversation with you right now in accordance to the EOD and what they said from the blast and the impact that was there. They was like, man, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay. And the irony is that we were actually going to a good friend, Curtis Wooten, memorial service. So I just believe inside that he was looking down, and shielding me from that per se. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm not going to be in this institution anymore because I know the outcome would have been a shadow box and two soldiers going to my mom and being like, here you go, as being expendable, because it would have just been, I would have been replaced. You see what I'm saying? And I didn't want to have that. So I said, okay, time to get up out of here. So I got out of the service, medicaled out, still suffering with, pain, traumatics, PTSD. It's real. So that's why, redefining your mindset is definitely, it sticks. And I said, man, you definitely cut from a different cloth, Mr. Walker. I said, yeah. I said, I just think outside the box and I do things, differently after a lot of things that I've experienced within my life. So
yeah, most people ain't getting, exploded. That's what people don't understand. And I know you're shoring up what it is, but you were battle rattling and getting out there. And
Facts.
You got blown up. I mean, that's most typical people. Even the people on deployment, a lot of people still don't even get to that level of craziness, And then that just kind of made you, appreciate life, getting out of that, observing your battle buddies going down.
Right.
And you're like, what am I going to do with my life now? You done did the 180. You done went from the badass kid to the judge telling you to get right. Stole your little candy. And then you went from there to hanging out with the presidential details, doing what you're doing there. 9/11 to see the tragedy of that. And now you're in combat, and then you get involved in an explosion that messes your life up. And we have the repercussions of that, the repercussions of seeing your fellow battle buddies. And now you're like, what do I do in my life?
Right.
Is that where your transformation occurred?
100%. 100%.
So is that upon discharge when you get out and like, what am I going to do with myself when I get out of here? Because, I know the military traps a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And that's why, the suicide rate with us soldiers and other things like that are where they are, because they lose that identity.
Right.
And most of that is because they have no direction, right? Because they get out of there, you're so militarized or institutionalized. Right. We call it militarized, but it's still institutionalized. No different than being in an incarceration system, right? Mm-hmm. So what happened? Where's that shift at that point? You get out, you get discharged, you get your little ID, you gone, they rip you out. You are no longer, once you cross that gate, ain't no coming back.
It's done deal. And I didn't want to look back, because I already walked that road. You see what I mean? And that's a road that I'm not trying to travel. So I was like, okay, I found out, that I made a super soldier, basically becoming an old guard, thinking about what I wanted to do. So now I had to recalibrate and say, okay, that was good. You manifested that and made that happen. What is it that you love? I was like, man, I love working with cars. So I said, okay. And cars are never going nowhere. So I was like, okay, I'm going to set up some stuff, man. So that's when I started working on a business, and it's in the auto detailing industry. And been doing it over 15 years. And I've been able to teach, coach, and mentor others within the industry because they saw how good I was putting out a product. And that I can actually, give some kudos to the old guard, because paying attention to the details is everything. And I was able to give these guys the knowledge so that they can pull the fruits from the tree in their home states, and linked up with different contracts and working with the Army on a different note. So I was like, okay, it's selfish of me to not give back more. So that's when I started linking up with John Maxwell. So I was like, I have a gift now. I said, now let me go ahead and expand more knowledge on it. Then I went with Les Brown. Okay. Yeah,
big
power.
You're talking about John Maxwell and Les Brown.
Powerful, man.
Y'all don't know who he is, but look him up. This man right here is the man.
So
you linked up with them, and then it came what from that?
So it's real good, man. God is good, works in the best ways to give me the blessing of being able to work with Les and 14 others on a book that we actually co-authored called The Motivation Manifesto. And it has a story and chapters of each of our lives that actually show you the resiliency and what you can do for yourself to overcome these issues in life. Because we all have highs and lows. It's what you make of that to make you better, that makes you better. So it didn't break me. You see what I'm saying? And I talked about that within my story and my travels. So now it's on a path, right now it's like, okay, I got this thing full-fledged, and the biggest thing that I see that is overlooked a lot of the times is our future generations, man. And that's our youth for tomorrow. What are you going to be? Instead of, being zombies on our phones, I want to bring that creativeness out. Like I was a kid when I was coming up, I was doing 30 for 30 specials. I was doing shoveling driveways, and then I was cutting your grass for $30, So I was always entrepreneurialistically, ready to go and try to make money, but do it in the right way and in a positive way. And
you're jacking the candy on
Yeah.
in boot camp. Hey, Sarge, y'all out there? That's who did it.
So I mean, just to be able to, give the youth something and bring out their greatness within them, as my mentor would say, it's really a good feeling to see them come back to be like, hey, Q, Mr. Walker, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, really? She's like, yeah, I'm a designer creator for this now, or I'm doing this now. And I'm like, man, that's a real good feeling that, you can just implant the seed, and if they water it and watch it grow. I mean, and it's almost like that, the analogy with a bamboo tree. Bamboo trees just don't pop up like that. It takes years for this to come. But the consistency, time, and effort put into what it is that you want to do will reap you the rewards if you stay consistent. So instilling that within our younger generation and letting them know that if you stay on the path that you feel in your heart is true, everything's going to come back for you later on in life. So
it's like, it's a trip that you say all that, because you kind of also left out a little bit. I know, we could talk forever. We talk all the time, but it wasn't just you just decided to walk out the military and do your business with cars.
Right.
You actually was a government employee for quite some time.
Was.
And then one day you got up and was like, I don't even want to do this job. You're talking about a middle manager level position, benefits, things that, that you struggled with as a young kid.
Right.
And now you in this position set for, per se, life. You got your government, you got your military benefits, and you're like, well, I'm going to stay with the government, maintain your time. And then one day you was like, I'm better than just checking in.
Right.
And so when you did that, when you talk about faith, transformation, right? That's what this is all about. The podcast, and Redefined Mindset, my brand, everything about it is about that transition, right? And the CEO versus the employment mindset. And when you look at that and you refer to the bamboo tree, see, like any seed, like a lemon seed, a fruit seed that we place on this table will never grow because the tree is inside the seed. And without the proper environment, it doesn't grow. So culturally, we have that issue, right? So we have a lot of seeds in these inner cities, in these hoods that we grew up in, these people that are in the military, but they're in the wrong environment to germinate and exceed. And so that influence has to come from something, and that's placing that seed into an environment where it can get its nutrients to be able to succeed and grow and sprout out to be something. So when you went through that transformation in the military, you got out and you said, I did my time. You already knew going back deployed. I'm not going to, I was going to say sandbox, but you do all that. But, going back deployed, you know what you went through. You went through the war, through all that. To get up, trust yourself, and say, look, I know I can do better for myself. I don't have to check in with anybody. And you quit a government job, making decent money, and go home to the wife, the family, and say, hey, by the way, I just quit. Like, that's just how it's going to be. And then the next thing is, well, how do we live?
Right.
And you transition. And how many years ago that was?
At least 13 years now, man. At least, going on. And it's crazy because I look at it and I say to myself, how did it all happen? How did that culminate? It was me finding my true purpose, the why aspect. Like, why am I here? What is it that you want to do with yourself? And what's your true intention? And anything that you get lost in, that your wife got to be like, hey, you coming in to eat dinner or whatever the case, be like, what you doing? You've been out there for too long. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize. That's your why. That's your purpose. If you get lost in something that you're doing, that's what you love doing, then you need to expand upon that a little bit more. So now it's to me, it's like, I want to show everybody that. I'm trying to teach people that. Like, we all have gifts. Everybody's gifted with something that they're good at. So if you can figure out what that is that you get lost in, I don't care if crochet, basket weaving, whatever it is that you just love to do.
Be the best at it.
Be the best at it. Be the best at what you do. We have 8 billion people on the daggone planet. So you mean to tell me you worried about money and monetary gains? Listen, somebody's going to like your product or like what you do or agree with what you have to say. You know what I mean? So you find that market and that niche and then go ahead and just dive right in. So there's no different with me for cars. I had the love of cars. 15 years later, boom, I'm the number one thriving, auto detail shop within my location, my area.
So what's the name of it? Because I know that. Give me the unique name of it.
Yeah, it's White Glove Auto Detailing. And the name stemmed from me being in the old guard.
So it all come back together.
All comes back together. I had to wear ceremonial dress blues. We had the white gloves, white glove inspection. So the irony in that is that I was so confident in my product that I would give my clients a white glove to inspect their vehicle, and if there was any dirt on it, it's a free service. Listen, I ain't never had a free service. I ain't never had a free service.
Bro, I ain't never seen one. I want to go there. We need to do that more often. We should take that to the restaurant. And be like, hey, if my table not good enough, I want white glove. Just straight. Now you get COVID-29 if you do something like that, right? So that's what I think is unique about you. Everyone has their different stories, and one thing that I've noticed about you is your ability to want to be infectious, right? And so a lot of people don't understand diseases. A disease attacks the body. And it attacks you by infecting your body, right? And it becomes infectious. What people don't understand about leadership and influence, it's also a disease. And that disease turns around and infects your body, which creates an outcome like any disease. And in your disease of influence, created you to want to recreate yourself and manifest a different person and take yourself from the employee mindset, which we, listen, we work for the government, I work for the government, to say, you know what, I want to be on my own. And in your diseased mind, some people look at that and go, man, you're out of your damn mind. You know what I'm saying? Like you got a government job, your mom, like my mom, you got a government job. You can't live in the government. They ain't never going nowhere. You set for life. But the thing is, it's a bargain for exchange, right? Consideration, right. Time for dollars. You can only work so much time, which means you can only make so much money. And you looked at that and said, look, I want to be myself. And that all transpired from being the bad dude, going through things, going to jail, to somehow being on and if y'all don't understand what that means, to get on the presidential guard, you just don't like walk in the MEPS and be like, I want to do the job. Like it don't work that way. So, and now you get that attention to detail, yep. Which is a byproduct of being focused.
Right.
And now you live that life, influence. And that's what we always say, John Maxwell, one of the 3 fundamentals of leadership is influence. Mm-hmm. And that influence turned around, made you function in your career to now it's like, well, I can do better than that. Now it's all a risk,
right?
Which some people don't want to take, especially when you got you a good government job. You had a government job, And so now it's like you get that and you take off and you create this business that you're taking a risk on as something as finite, or as, I want to say finite, something as small as detailing cars. And I'm not saying it's not big or bad. What I'm saying is it's just detailing cars. But to you, it's not just the detailing cars. What kind of cars do you do? So we can understand. You ain't working at a car wash. I mean, explain when we talk about you stepped into it, explain the game that you do when you said, I'm going to do these cars, but I want to do it on a different level to match the level that you were doing when you were doing your presidential detail. What are we talking about detailing cars so people can understand when you said I'm stepping out and going big?
Right.
We want to know what kind of car, like we going big, what you doing?
Yeah. I mean, first I had to get myself unstuck because I was stuck for a while. I was in the mud.
Oh, here we go. I was waiting on it.
I was in the mud.
And you hold on, you're the mud.
Yeah.
You was just like dirt mud? Or
no, I was mentally underdeveloped and distracted at the time. So I was literally in the mud in my life, like, what do you want to do? I'm stuck. So it's pulling me down. So I needed to become mentally unlocked and determined in order to go ahead and proceed through to what it is that I wanted to do.
The mud, so, ladies and gentlemen, the mud.
And by that, being said, 50,000 hours, you're considered a master in school if you have that much education. So I had that within cars. So the subject matter expertise, people were coming to me with cars that were more expensive than my house, okay? Because they entrusted and they saw the craftsmanship that I was able to put out as far as my end result for product. And that's been a blessing, man. And then that's when other people were like, man, he doing something. So that's when others started to come and start receiving some training and coaching from me. And I at that point, I was like, okay, it's selfish if I don't give this knowledge out and help people. So if you want to come in, I'm like, yeah, come on in, boop. I got you, show you what's up. I'm going to set you up with your website. I'm going to show you what a business looks like. And I was just giving people game at the time. So I'm like, okay. And then when they went to their home states and I reached back in touch with them, and then they calling me up, hey, can I get some more of your product? Yeah, I got you. So anytime you calling me, I know you're doing good. You see, I know you're still thriving and succeeding in the business or in the industry. You see what I mean? So that's when I was like, okay, yeah, this is great. It's all good. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to be Biff, okay? Back to the Future.
Oh, I was like, what do you mean?
I don't want to be Biff. You need another second coat of wax, Marty? This dude's 65, still, hitting cars up. That's not my mentality. You see what I mean? So as far as putting programs, and a CEO mindset. So I established these programs now, put systems in place where people could just be like, okay, I want to buy the coaching program. Boom, here you go. This is going to teach you from module A, B, C, D, how to set your business up and get a turnkey. Now, if you want to come in and work with me, boom, we could do that. Excellent. But working myself out of that, it has impact. But as I said, the biggest thing is our tomorrow. So, and that's letting these youngsters know that if you stick to what you want to do and see it through, there's no sky's the limit. So you shoot for the moon, and if you miss that big target, you still landing amongst the stars.
Man, that's powerful. So it's just about impacting lives, passing it down. And as we get, to close on this hour, I know one thing that you didn't mention is through your speaking, your Les Brown connections of putting your book out there. You didn't stop there. What are you doing now?
Gosh.
Let them know what you're doing, man. How you impacting lives?
A lot of people talk the talk, and I feel like, you got to walk that walk. So I'm retired technically, but in order to do those things and fill those shoes and walk in those shoes, I'm working with kids every day. I go into schools as a mentor, and help these kids as far as like behavioral issues or problems. And these are kids from kindergarten up to 6th grade. So it's an after school program, 4-H. 4-H is across the nation. So being able to help those kids and mentor these young kids and provide that impact to them, to let them know, because you could tell, you could see it in their eyes, like they come in, give them a hug, or man, you did a good job today. They don't hear, some of these kids don't hear that, you know what I mean? And I want you to know that I love you. There's no shame in that. I love you. I love each and every single one of you. The kids said, "What you say, Mr. Q?" I said, "I love all of y'all." And it's to see the look, in their faces when you can just bless them with that and let them know that that's okay, man. It's a real good feeling inside. I mean, it just overcomes you, And I'm not gonna stop, man. I'm on a mission to impact 100,000 students, and create future leaders for our communities, and that's really what it's all about. Because I have an expiration date just like you, but hopefully that next generation that's coming along can make a better impact, the imprint, in the sands of time.
That speaks volumes, that speaks real volumes of you, because it came from, it's a full circle from when you were a knucklehead and started to doing what you're doing, to quitting your job, doing your own thing. And you gave some words of encouragement. You did what you do about, your speaking, cut from a different cloth, what makes you different, which everyone is. And that's why you're cut from a different cloth. Right. That's what makes us all unique and different. But then you bought that product out and you influenced somebody who turned around and hired you for the school district. Yeah. Now, I want you to understand how big that is. One person saw this man and said, the way you were speaking and influence, I want to hire you specifically. Yeah. Now, you're not a teacher, right?
Nope.
You had no teaching credentials.
Nope.
You didn't go to 9 universities and get a PhD.
No.
Come to you personally to be the master influencer in a school district. Not a school, the district.
Yep.
And your whole job is to go around to these schools and just influence and preach positively and influence to young kids as they develop, which goes back to where you came from when you lacked that influence.
That's right.
Wow, that's a powerful thing, man.
That's right.
Man, Quatrell, I know we got to wrap it up. We talk all the time. We stayed in touch, and we're going to continue to stay in touch. Just continue to impact lives, stay positive, stay focused, continue to be cut from a different cloth, because if we all are the same, there's nothing unique about us, right? Somebody one day looked at a black and white TV and said, I know I can make it color because I see color. So they stepped out of the box to do something different. So thank you, man. Thank you for being an influence to me. You already know, my brother. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being an influence to me. When I was down, I was depressed a couple times when my mental illness caught up to me. And you're like, man, I haven't heard from you. What's happening? And that's very rare, you know what I'm saying? And especially, we have a lot of commonality. But I thank you for coming on the show, bro, being part of, supporting me. You came from New York to step out here to hang out with me, just to show support. That's the kind of person you are. And I want you to know that's important to me. And for those who are watching, that's the kind of thing you should do. One thing I talked to Walker about, we kind of influence each other, is if you don't take anything away from this table today, take away one thing: added value. Every single person in your life should bring at least one thing to you, and that's value. no matter where you come from, where you've been, where you're going. If someone is in your life and they're not bringing value to you, then you have to ask yourself why they're in your life. This is just a cup. But the value of this cup is the coffee that's in it. This cup has value. If not, it's just a cup sitting there. Thank you again, my brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Catch you again. Much love. Catch you guys. Stay tuned. Catch you later.